savior comes at last.
Wilson?
Rest yourself, Audrey. You're still weak. The Keepers can be relentless to strangers. But there's nothing to fear as long as I'm with you. You're safe now.
You did this to me.
Well, safe is subjective.
You brought me here. Turned me into this thing. This doesn't make sense. I've never done anything to you.
Open your eyes and look around you. None of this makes sense. Drawn walls, nightmarish creatures, an ancient studio that died out almost 30 years ago. It's all fiction, utter nonsense. And yet, in here, it exists. It breathes. It flourishes. Reality, guided by its master's pen. The foundation for a new reality. We can bleed into our own. Just think of it. Anything we create in here, we can release out there. But first, this world must be controlled, made safe. These things, these angels and demons, are they real?
And he's all hand waving and shit.
Or are they just stains? Old mistakes ready to be cleansed away for newer, greater things.
What do you want from me?
I need your help to save my father's life.
What?
This is our start. We'll talk more once we're safely inside.
In the meantime, give me back my fucking pipe wrench.
Stay close. This place isn't as safe as it once was.
Nearby build. Oh. Crap. Okay, so my abilities have now been fucked off. Right. No, doesn't mean I'm not gonna steal nothing. Fuck you. Yeah. Maybe I will, asshole. Maybe I will. Old Track 77 is a quiet place these days. Ever since that terrible crash a few years back, people don't like hang around. Too many strange things keep happening on this platform. Last week, one of the railmen told me they had reports of some train going through that wasn't on the schedule. There were figures standing in the cars, staring through the windows, but it never stopped to let no one off. Just kept on going straight through. Some say it was the Silver Lane Express, the train that crashed. Kitty Thompson. Who the fuck is Kitty Thompson? Can't break that one. Alright. God damn it. Looks like a creature from 40K's Drakari line.
The demon's
Dark Elder.
evil continues to spread. This world has begun to shudder.
Be quiet.
What did you say?
I said, shut your
It was
face.
Almost there. Just a quick stop. Won't take but a moment.
Uh-huh. That's why my abilities have been taken away from me.
Subject will stand in the designated location.
Tommy gun. Fine.
Lethal object detected.
Yes, I get it.
Subject will submit all weapons for further screening.
Yeah, it's like a rack or a grotesque. Disarm. But, like, come on. What about the gun? Can't I have the gun?
Remain still for examination.
Nope. Do 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 do. Oh. Get back in the tube.
Subject is cleared for entry.
Yeah. And who killed the ink demon? Wilson. How do you keep teleporting?
Civilized world. How do you like my signal towers? They nullify the ink demon's powers so he cannot pass them. I wish I could say I invented them, but it seems our friends at the Gent Corporation had a demon problem of their own long ago.
Oh my god, really? That's... okay.
And now, my dear, if you'll excuse me, I have a lot to prepare. We'll talk later, I promise. Besides, you must be very tired. A quick rest will do you good. Betty will show you to your room.
Betty.
She's my housekeeper, among other things.
You never actually killed the ink demon, did you?
Of course he didn't.
He's too powerful to destroy. So we sealed him away, trapped him in a different form. One that was smaller, harmless.
Bendy.
It was a fitting prison, although he seems to have found a way to free himself. But enough talk. We'll deal with that soon enough.
There's some nice fresh blankets all laid out for you. You'll be dreaming in no time.
Wait, Wilson? One more thing. If you needed my help, why didn't you just ask?
Would you have believed me?
Come along, and no more dawdling. This way now. Oh, you're here at last. It's so exciting, finally having you with us. Now, to give you some bearings, we're currently standing in the south wing. Wilson's laboratory is downstairs. And then there's the north wing.
And where are we going exactly? Okay, so what am I going this way then? Okay, yeah, I'm going this way.
And ever since,
Do.
locked up tight. I'm afraid it's fallen into ruins by now. All those juicy, lovely books gone to waste.
Juicy, lovely books.
And they'll tear you apart limb from limb if Wilson isn't with you. Mind your distance and you'll be just fine.
Yeah, well, if you would hurry up and open the door for me, whichever one it is. Oh, wait. No, there's definitely nothing up there.
It's not very often I have guests to look after. Especially
Come
when I
on.
can actually talk.
Shouldn't I be following you so I know where I'm going?
Everyone here either can't speak or they're completely mad. All right, here we are. Best room in the house.
Yeah, I'll bet they're probably all the
You
same.
should see where I sleep. Ugh. But this room, oh, just perfect. I saw to every detail. Bed is clean. The bathroom is on the left. Sorry about the stains. I did try my best to get them out.
Okay. So what is this? For sleeping draft, pinch of salt, cocoa powder, chamomile, soybeans, Gilson. Mix everything in a glass and then drink with exactly 3 sips of water. Yeah. Okay. What's this? The Mug and the Maiden, Volume 1 by Sir Wilton Moore, Chapter 1, The Dangerous Forest. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there lived a mug of cheese. It was not an ordinary mug of cheese that you would find in any home or kitchen of the age. No, this mug of cheese was a distant descendant of one of the 3 grand flagon kings. The same kings who were charged on horseback to defend their capital city during the unforgettable conquests of the previous century. To which these flagon kings he hailed from, the mug was unsure, but still, there was an honor and courage in his heart. His family line heralded of deeds long past that had forever changed the course of Stoop history. Did he have a name? Of course, all mugs of cheese have names. This is common knowledge, just as every fruit bat is rarely named Stanley. The mug of cheese was named Richter the Cracked. The Cracked! What a name, I can hear you say. Cracked indeed. This mug of cheese bears no damage that I can see. Fall silent, you small-minded bass, for therein lies our intriguing story. Let's begin at the beginning. It was a hot winter day in the forest. These days where everything is dull brown. The lake was still, the birds had shut up, and the trees were but sticks in the overcast sky, save for a lone pine that skimmed the clouds above like a painter's brush. It was on that day that Mr. Doublemouse was in a hurry. He had just been named as Vermin of the Year by the society brethren that lived under the old church, and it was customary for the Audrey to bring fine port wine cheese to the ceremony. There were only hours to locate some of the precious cuisine. Fortunately, Mr. Doublemouse knew exactly where to find it. The dark cellar below the governor's castle. But unfortunately, as he approached the loose plank of wood in the old wall, he failed to realize that the heavy rains that had come during the night had passed moisture into the plank, making it far heavier than usual. Thus, when he pushed the plank with all his might, it lifted just enough to push his body only halfway through, but his strength just couldn't contend with the weight of the plank, and his arms failed. The plank snapped back down, crushing him flat. After all, this story is not about Mr. Doublemouse. Or, had you forgotten the mug of cheese already? You can see how you might connect the two. Mr. Doublemouse was, after all, looking for cheese, and you were talking about a mug of cheese just before. Sadly, I must inform you that there is no relation between Richter the Cracked and the version who is now nothing more but smushed guts inside the wall. Except that there is, for it was the death of Mr. Doublemouse that started all the trouble. You see, when things die, they tend to smell, and that's just what Mr. Doublemouse did. But that's not all. His body pinned between the outside and inside of the wood wall and made a perfect passage for the hot winter wind. The wind, therefore, carried the stench of his decaying mouse carcass deeper into the governor's home, like a snaking, twisting wisp of terror. The smell settled into a little tavern near the courtyard of the castle. Here, soldiers would spend many long hours when there was no bloodlust to soothe with battle. Strong ales and red meat filled the menu from back to front of the rustic, medieval, greasy spoon. Mostly the customers came to look upon the barmaid Maxine, who was actually named Rita. Rita was by far the best-looking creature in all the governor's county. There was a beautiful deer woman just over the hill, but no one knew that. Okay. By day, Rita scrubbed her tavern so clean you could eat off of it, which was kind of unfortunate. This was a place you indeed would be eating, since it was a tavern. By night, she served her customers with charm, grace, but mostly with drinks. Did I mention that Rita was married? Well, I am mentioning it now. Rita was married. Her husband's name was James. He didn't do much until he died. The smell of Mr. Doublemouse knocked him flat, and that, my friends, was that. Oh dear, the story was barely begun, and already we have killed 2 major characters. Needless to say, Rita was deeply distressed by the whole thing, but 20 or so minutes later she realized she couldn't mourn forever and went to buy some cheese. Ah, yes. Don't worry, dear reader. This time the mention of cheese will probably guide us to meeting our focal hero of the tale. Also, this is a good time to start a new chapter. Chapter 2, a new chapter. Rita entered the cheese shop with her guns blazing. I am speaking metaphorically, of course, by which I mean she entered the cheese shop quite determined to buy some cheese. This was because... God damn it. This was because just the night before, as her husband James was taking note of a weird smell in the room, she had invented a delicious new concoction, a cheddar cider. It was sure to be a hit with her patrons. After all, the governor's county only had 2 exports, cheese and grapes. She couldn't possibly make a drink from a grape. Really, why not? But back to the cheese shop scene. Rita knocked on the counter loudly with her fist, causing the nearby cat to do absolutely nothing, as cats do. From behind the wall, she heard a stir as someone was crashing through piles of cheese to make their way toward her. Emerging gloriously from torn yellow curtains, an old man came into view. It was a giant in stature with a long, grey beard. Hopping along, and stuck within his beard were all manner of cheese crumbs and wedges, wrapped tightly within his hairs. Yet he held even more cheese on ropes, pulled across his chest, with loops of provolone linked like sausages over one shoulder. His eyes were big, and his ears were bigger still. A smile of kindness erupted from his face as he locked eyes with Rita. My, the curds are kind to me this hour. Hello and welcome, he bellowed. Rita bowed low and promptly began to cry. The shop owner looked at her, perplexed. What did I say wrong? The barmaiden sniffed and snooted, finally answered. Forgive me, my husband has just died and I am out of Swiss. I am going to pause now in this story to ask myself why Mr. Dollmouse went to the cellar in the governor's house for cheese, if there was a cheese shop nearby. I think it's best that we overlook this glaring problem in the plot, don't you? Now, back to the story at hand. Rita purchased a large amount of cheese from the shop owner. She bought cheese wheels and cheese melts and cheese slices. She bought cheese whistles and cheese bread. She bought cheese paper and cheese sandwiches. She bought so much cheese, in fact, that she had lost track of all that it contained and just dumped all the fromage into a large burlap sack for the return journey to the tavern. Goodbye, Rita, the shop owner called as he waved farewell. Goodbye, Daniel, she called back. His name was Murray, by the way. Overburdened by her treasures, Rita made her way home, following the main road to the castle. But, as it always happens, the road was now under repair. A man with a skinny mule was ploughing up the dirt so he could put down new cobblestone. 4 of his associates were standing by, watching him. The job would only take a few years to finish, but Rita was in a hurry, so she followed the detour sign that told her to take a different road to her left. Unfortunately, no one could read in the governor's county, so she went right instead. This biscuit took her deep into the forest where absolutely nothing of interest happened, except something of interest did happen. As she trotted on through the forest, her sack of cheese weighing her down, muttering complaints all the way. Little did she know that the danger lay just ahead. This danger was cunning and dangerous, and one of those out-of-place eyebrow hairs that drives you nuts when you're talking to someone who has one. This danger will be called Bernard, the big, ugly lizard man who wears a blue cloak. Bernard didn't often have visitors in his house. This was because he lived outside. Also, he was rather fond of human flesh, which made him very unpopular, as one would. As it would. So obviously, you can see the drama unfolding here. The beautiful but tired Rita huffing and puffing up the winding path. She approaches a certain doom. Bernard, watching from behind a nearby tree, licking his lips. Oh, the tension is tense, is it not? At this point in time, we must pause again to ponder all the possibilities that can happen now in our story. 2 characters have died already. Surely a third wouldn't hurt anything. You're perhaps just reading the story because you want to see who will get to the axe next. You were a little warped. Do you know that? Well then, let's see what happened next. Bernard stepped from behind his hiding place, his eyebrow hair gleaming in the fading sun. Dear madam, why must you pass through so fast? He called with his eyes glimmering. Must get home, Bernard, because for one, it's getting late and I have customers to serve, and second, because you eat people, Reed replied. Poppycock, balderdash, codswallop. I won't hear these lies against my character, he detested. For I, Bernard, the big ugly lizard man who wears a blue cloak, have completely reformed myself. Reed squinted suspiciously at him. You have? Bernard put a hand into his heart. I have. No longer prowl or pounce. I won't attack or bounce. I will not kill or maim or tear. I won't crush or even bite you anywhere. I promise I won't devour anymore. My gosh, you've become a bore. If you ever go to the danger of this story, then I've come all this way with 100 pounds of cheese for nothing. Rita grumbled. She boosted her sack further up her shoulders and turned with an angry grunt, but Bernard waved after her in a panic. Wait, it's all a ruse. I intended to eat you, dear woman. I swear it, he cried. It's all a trick, you see. A new angle. It worked on some guy yesterday. Please stay. Rita sighed, her strength just about gone from the long adventure she had taken since she left home that morning. She turned back to face Bernard. Alright, she said, but your part in the story better lead to an unexpected turn of events. Oh, it will! Bernard clapped and waggled his clawed finger to motion her draw nearer. Just wait until the next chapter. Chapter 3. The next chapter. Again. All looked quite dire for Rita. Bernard had her within his grasp. Surely it would just be mere moments before his jaw collapsed upon her head. Oh, what a horrible end for Rita. Needless to say, I am worried for her. But, as luck would have it, miles and miles away, 20 years earlier, something amazing happened. 2 mugs of cheese, a Gouda, and a mozzarella. Welcome the first son into the world. I don't think I need to tell you his name. It was Dave. No one liked Dave. After that, the second son came forth, Rita the Cracked, just called Richter at the time. Richter spent his early life stealing cowbells and putting them on skunks. This way people always knew when danger was nearby. Needless to say, Richter was one smart mug of cheese. But all could not remain perfect forever, and suddenly the great skunk famine began. Richter found his world in array, and sort of purpose. Fortunately, there was an opening in the governor's county for an adventurer at the time, and since he was a descendant of the 3 grand flagon kings, he was boosted to the head of the line. Because as we are all quite aware, even in olden times, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Thus the adventures of Richter began. He braved deep dungeons, he slayed the great beasts, he climbed the highest mountain peaks, he sailed around the world despite the fact that he didn't own a boat. It was truly the stuff of legend. But did I mention the curse? Yes, fair readers, there is a curse, a fiendish and terrible curse. One morning, while Richter was in the governor's county, came upon a witch named Witch. This witch had just pulled a pound cake from her oven when she'd been proceeded to start ingesting it right there on the front walk of her home. Once, Richter knew this creature was pure evil, eating cake this early in the morning, and without ice cream, this was truly a fiend that needed to be vanquished. Richter jumped a fence and pulled his sword. Would you like some pound cake? The witch offered. It looked quite delicious. Richter would not let himself be seduced into early morning cake, so he approached closer with his weapon at her throat. The witch began to sweat with a mouthful of crumbs. I also make a mean scone. Wanted to wait. No gentleman or gentleman could refuse a good scone. Fuck me. So Richter withdrew his sword and patiently waited for the witch to create these new buttery pastries. But what he didn't know was that the witch accidentally bumped her table and then added within the mixture a vial of cursed liquid. See? I told you there was a curse. You were fair warned. Richter ate of the scones. He fell into a deep sleep. The witch, baffled, finished her cake and proceeded to get a civil service job in nearby town. As the area's rolled by, all that remained of the witch's house was carried off by elves, and her garden became overgrown. This left early Richter asleep in the forest with no end to his dreaming inside. But the story thankfully does not end here, for as luck would have it, a giant man covered in cheese with big eyes and big ears wandered past the sleeping mug. In case you've forgotten, this was the cheese shop owner, Murray, sometimes called Bill. Fuck's sake. Unable to resist cheese of any kind, even a mug of the stuff, Murray took Richter to his shop and set him on a shelf. Here Richter sat for many years until his very fateful day. You see, in Rita's haste to gather up all the cheese she had purchased, she had swept a few things that did not belong to her into the sack as well. These items included the cat on the counter, a personalized pen, Murray's cash box. I think you'll be hearing about this one eventually. Last but not least, Richter himself, still deeply asleep. So now that our two stories have come together, let's discover what happened next to Rita and Richter, the climax chapter. Chapter 4, the climax chapter. It was the same hot winter day in the forest, and Mrs. Doublemouse was finally starting to get concerned. Just down the road, Rita was being drawn toward an almost certainly bloody and horrific end to her life. Bernard was just moments from taking her with his lizard jaws, and mere hours from trimming his eyebrows. Rita stood her ground. She was no damsel in distress, but simply a person who was pretty darn tired by this point. She pulled the burlap sack of cheese from her body and swung it hard with every last bit of strength she had left in her. Ear-shattering crack broke through the silent trees as the bag made contact with Bernard's shocked face. His teeth flew in all directions, falling like pebbles to the ground. His eyeballs dislodged and rolled into a nearby stream. His jawbone turned completely around and planted itself on the back of his head. Bernard ran screaming into the woods, never to be seen again this week. His cries faded, and the forest once again felt soft and quiet. A cow walked by. Rita's still... What the fuck? Rita's still standing with her sack outstretched and her arms stood wide-eyed at what had just happened. Surely no cheese in her bag was hard enough for that kind of impact. As she placed her burlap sack upon the dirt and peeled it open, she was amazed to find Richter with a mug of cheese inside and looking quite dazed. He had awakened, and the curse was finally lifted. Somewhere behind a desk, the witch looked up and nodded with a smile. But, oh dear Rita, look what was now upon his mug body, a giant, elegant crack. The very mark of a warrior. His hero's journey was finally complete. Richter the Cracked had emerged. Yes, it is true that Richter really didn't do anything important in the attack on Bernard. Just by Richter being where he was at the perfect time, he had saved Rita. The fates were with them. Richter and Rita talked and laughed and ate cheese until the sun went down. Finally, they packed up their picnic and headed back to the tavern, where they were met with cheers of excitement. This is mostly because the guys had found out that Rita was now single. Cool. As the night wore on, to the early morning of the hours, the tavern remained alive, and the castle courtyard was singing and dancing. Cheddar cider. Fuck me. Oh, what a celebration. But like all parties of such proportion, eventually everyone was up, and you have to go home before long. It was dawn. The sun began to rise steadily in the west, marking a fresh adventure on the horizon. A wind of a new direction began to blow with a more steady pace, skidded across the ground and found its way between the floorboards of the governor's castle. Here, against all odds, it found the barely remaining body of Mr. Doublemouse. The wind carried the stench far beyond the borders of the castle, over the mountains, and deep within a dark cave where Evil slept. What the heck is that smell? Said Evil, awakening with hellfire burning behind his eyes. Eventually, news of this great evil spread from town to town until it reached the ears of Richter the Cracked. He polished his sword. He gathered some crumbs of bread to store in his mug. Wearing his best expression of courage, Richter once again set off to conquer the day. His story was not yet over. But for now, dear reader, we return to our own lives. So let's end this tale with one closing thought, shall we? Be we cracked, or small, or even dead, there's always a purpose to where we all are led. Be brave and strong, and lest we forget, fate isn't quite done with any of us yet. Okay, so that was the fucking weirdest goddamn story I've ever heard. Or one thereof.
Did you have any questions?
Yeah, who wrote that fucking book?
It's always dark, if that's what you mean. For as long as I can remember.
Are you very old?
No. As far as I understand it, I'm something quite new. Although, I didn't turn out the way I was
As you
supposed
understand it.
to. One in a long line of failed experiments. But
Does explain the
Wilson will
mask.
keep
You look different to
trying.
everybody else here.
And do you trust Wilson?
This is the realm of the ink demon. The shadow hangs over us all. I don't trust anyone. But
I mean,
Wilson takes care of me.
good idea.
Keeps me safe. He once said I remind him of something he called his mother. Tell me, is that a good thing, where you two are from?
I'm not sure. I ever
Probably
had
not in
one.
this case.
Well, no matter. Now, I was told to make sure you get some sleep once you got here. So get nice and comfy and relax. I left something on the table that might just help you nod off. It's my own recipe. Works very fast.
Yeah, I read your recipe.
Just follow the instructions. Carefully.
Thanks, Betty.
Of course.
And
If
you
need
shall call
anything
me
else, I'll come
Betty.
straight away. I'm always up.
Okay, so... Making this weird shit, am I?
What's a Gilson?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is a Gilson. Oh, hey, bathroom's open now. Whee! Look at me go! Anyway. Let me guess, is it in the... Oh, I can... Do ink people take dumps? I mean... Apparently so. Okay, so this room became open, but there's nothing in here. Okay, what's this? Hello?
The machine speaks to me, revealing its many possibilities. What I can accomplish using its power is beyond any measure. Life and death can become a thing of the past. Poverty.
Gilson fish. This is one strange little fish is pretty hard to come by. The Gilson is not known to be easy to catch and will ignore most bait. To make matters worse, the Gilson can move very fast, making it a rare sight. In the end, I was able to snatch me up this little guy with a very clever solution. Apparently the Gilson is sensitive to sound vibrations. It will go into shock upon hearing some sweet music. So crank up the tunes and this fish will be easy to grab. Crush up the Gilson into powder and stir it into water for a powerful soothing drink.
So, I'm looking for...
I'm looking for a fish.
There's gotta be one here somewhere.
Well, is it something about turning up the music? But I've turned on the music. Oh, hold on. We have more.
Now that's a fish. Ah, he's too fast.
Okay.
Maybe if it was closer.
Maybe it was closer. Can I shove it over? Yes, I can. Alright.
That did it. Looks like the fish is asleep.
Come here, fish.
Gotcha.
You can't get away from me, you little stinker.
Oh, fuck off, Betty.
Hello?
It's my fish.
I forgot the Gilson again, didn't I? And there's some already.
Well,
ground up
I was
in
expecting
kitchen
to find it in
too.
the bog, so probably a good
I'll
thing
be,
it wasn't.
I'll bring it up to your room straight away, shall I? Oh, and maybe you could put Harold back in his tank.
No,
He doesn't
Harold's
hate the
mine.
dry air.
Bitch. Ugh. Alright, fine. God, gotta go sort my own shit out and you come along bitching. Alright, I'm back in the room. What am I doing? Aha. Drink this weird concoction of shit.
Now,
Just looks
3
like
sips of
bacon
water.
soup from the previous installment.
1, 2, 3.
Oh crap, it's the evil one!